Here are my 5 favorite submissions to hit from the gift wrap position. When I play the gift wrap, I tend to play it from a top mount, tactical mount type position. I've seen some people that will play the gift wrap from standard mount. I prefer to be in this tactical mount. And then from here, we've got 5 submissions that I like to hit on a regular basis. The first one being an armbar. Now from this position, when I got like a seatbelt, I've got my other hand grabbing underneath his wrist. I tend to keep my chest tight behind his shoulder. I'm gonna pull him up and keep it nice and snug. And then what I'm actually going to do is as I transition to the armbar, the arm that is coming through, I'm actually going to grab his forearm just to make sure that I secure this arm and that he doesn't start kind of grabbing and locking and protecting his grip, right? I'm gonna secure this for a brief moment as I now post on the head. And as I post on the head, I'm gonna take that same side leg and step up and over. Now I'm gonna release this grip, scoop his bicep and tuck it to my chest. And as I now go to sit back, I'm gonna get my second hand involved. So now that when we fall back, I've got his arm completely secured to my chest. You're in the good armbar position, pinch your thighs, we come all the way back, we hip in, and we can get the armbar finish from there. The second one that I tend to go to from this position is a triangle choke from top, right? And you can sit through on this if you need to, but if you can finish it from top position, that's even better. Similar idea, I'm gonna keep this arm nice and tight. I still like to utilize this inside grip again, just so that I don't have to chase after this arm. And then what I'm actually looking to do is take this arm and I tend to kind of scoop from behind the crossface to the inside of the armpit, and I kind of open up the head a little bit, especially if this guy's kind of keeping his head tucked down to this arm to protect himself. I want to make sure that I can kind of open up that arm a little bit. At this point, I'm going to pull up. I'm going to take the same side leg and I'm just looking to step over his armpit or over his shoulder at this point. Now from here, I can start correcting. I don't necessarily need this arm anymore because now I've already got my leg into place. I can actually look to post out and I can use that as an opportunity to slide this leg nice and deep through. Notice now that my crossface hand is grabbing the shin just to again secure the position. At this point, I'm going to pressure in, make sure that I get my knee on the ground so that I can get the most amount of space possible to hook my other leg. And now as we look to secure the choke, I want to make sure that both my knees are down facing in the same direction. From here, I'm still in a good top position. I squeeze and we can get the finish from there. I can also transition this to obviously arm bars and all sorts of different shoulder locks. However, if at any point I feel like he starts really fighting me, I can also just sit all the way through. Again, from here, we can finish the position, attack the arm, do what we need to do. All right, the next one is transitioning into an arm triangle. Now this works really well if I'm in this gift wrap position and I feel like this guy's really trying to drive back into me. Now, typically what you'll get, especially if I'm really pulling on this arm, is some newer inexperienced people will make the mistake and go in belly down. That just gives me a whole nother world of submissions and just makes it a living hell for them. But guys that are kind of more conscious of this position are trying to get themselves back under the back. They can get their arms nice and tight and they look to escape. If I feel that pressure, what I'm actually going to do is pull this arm out a little bit and extend it to give this arm the room that it needs to slip underneath into a head and arm triangle position. And now from this point, as I allow him to work to his back, I'm gonna follow through into the standard mount, reach this arm all the way through, get my head in position, lock my hands, pressure in, we squeeze, and I can get the head and arm triangle choke from there. Now this next one is a bit of like an Ezekiel choke. I'm gonna show you a couple variations of it, but the premise is that I'm grabbing with the crossface arm. I wanna pull this nice and tight. This is typically how I wanna kind of control this position to begin with. I really don't want to have a lot of space. The moment I get a good gift wrap position, I always want to make sure that I kind of pull through on this arm a little bit and I kind of posture and hip in. This just reduces their ability to scoop back into me a little bit, but when I'm ready to hit this choke, I do need to actually punch this arm through so that I can feed this arm all the way through, up on top, and I want to grab my forearm as deep as possible. Now at this point, I also want to take my elbow, start pitching my elbow up a little bit as I also straighten out this arm. And that's where I'm gonna get the Ezekiel choke. Now, there's also variations where people will make a tight fist and just kind of drive their arm down into the artery. Same idea, I'm gonna stiffen up this arm as I drive this arm straight down, put pressure on the artery, and we can get the tap from there. Now, the only time that this will sometimes be difficult in live scenarios if guys are trying to toughen it out is because there's a lot of space in the front here when I'm trying to hit this position. So if we're struggling with that and you're trying to hit this with the fist on the neck and it's not working, I'm gonna pressure back in. This arm is going to reach deep behind their tricep. I'm gonna pull this arm all the way through, cutting out all that space in the front, keeping the fist nice and tight. And now as I go to posture up and pressure down, I can get the choke finish from there. Now this last one's a sneaky one. I've been playing with this one lately. I've been able to catch it a couple times. It is a little difficult to set up, but it is one that once you secure it, there's really not much room for these guys to defend it. So the idea is that when I'm in this gift wrap position, I'm actually going to transition to more of like a seatbelt grip. I don't really need this arm anymore. I just need to have the gift wrap idea, right? I need to be underneath that arm. This hand is actually going to feed behind his head, My cross-face arm is actually going to invert. And when I invert, I want my arm running down the center of his spine. If it's too high up or too high down, it's gonna be difficult to secure the choke. And all I'm looking to do is take this hand, reach on the inside of this arm, grab my forearm, and now from here, I pressure and squeeze, and we can get the choke. I can also kind of start pulling them all the way across, squeeze, and we can get the finish from there. Now, if you try to go super deep with this and get all the way down to like my wrist, it's actually more difficult to finish compared to if I go shallow and grab a little bit higher up towards my elbow. But again, it's the idea that this arm's coming all the way across the neck, keeping my thumb face up. This arm switches so it's inverted, running down the center of the spine, grab right by your elbow, pressure and squeeze, and we can get the finish from there. Give those a shot, stay safe.